What is trauma bonding in a narcissistic relationship? 6 crucial facts to help you understand. What is trauma bonding in a narcissistic relationship? Hello there and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Livia and I'm so glad you've joined us. Here we do a deep dive into topics that empower you to reclaim your personal power, heal from toxic cycles and navigate the complexities of relationships, hopefully with a bit of peace and clarity. Amen to that. Today we're talking about what is trauma bonding in a narcissistic relationship and of course, what does it actually mean? I'm here to, hopefully, shed some light on this confusing subject. So in essence, trauma bonding is a complex emotional attachment that often forms between a victim and their abuser in abusive relationships, and particularly when dealing with a narcissist. This bond creates an unhealthy cycle where the victim feels emotionally trapped despite the pain and abuse they endure. Does this sound familiar? Or even maybe frustrating as it's happening to someone you know? Understanding trauma bonding and what is trauma bonding in a narcissistic relationship is super important for recognizing its signs, acknowledging its impact, and taking valuable steps towards healing. My What is trauma bonding in a narcissistic relationship video will explore the concept of trauma bonding in narcissistic relationships, its causes, stages, and how to break free. Let's go. 1. What is trauma bonding? Trauma bonding occurs when a victim becomes emotionally attached to their abuser despite ongoing abuse. This attachment often stems from intermittent cycles of love and abuse. So what is trauma bonding? Trauma bonding is marked by manipulation, emotional highs and lows, and a distorted sense of reality. Narcissists typically engage in behaviours such as love bombing, where they shower their partner with excessive affection and attention, followed by devaluation, where they belittle or criticise them. This alternating behaviour leaves the victim confused and clinging to the hope of returning to the early loving phase of the relationship, which strengthens the trauma bond. Over time, victims become conditioned to this cycle and often feel that leaving the relationship is impossible despite the harm it causes. Studies have shown that trauma bonding is particularly common in abusive relationships where the power dynamics are skewed, such as in domestic violence or situations involving narcissistic abuse. Victims are left feeling responsible for the relationship's issues and are often manipulated into believing that the abuse is their fault, which of course it isn't. And I can vouch for that one, as can many of my healed clients. 2. The stages of trauma bonding. Idealization. The narcissist initially idealizes the victim, making them feel special, loved, and appreciated. This phase often involves intense affection, known as love bombing, devaluation. Gradually, the narcissist begins to devalue the victim through criticism, emotional manipulation, and gaslighting. The victim becomes confused, trying to regain the affection from the initial phase. Reconciliation. After episodes of abuse, the narcissist may apologise or act as if the abuse never happened. This creates a false sense of security, encouraging the victim to stay. Repetition. The cycle repeats with the victim continuously seeking approval and love, leading to an ever-deepening emotional attachment. 3. Why trauma bonds form? Trauma bonds are driven by intermittent reinforcement, when rewards, affection and attention are mixed with punishment, criticism and abuse. Yes, I know, it's awful. This unpredictable pattern causes the victim to hold onto the positive memories, making it difficult to let go of the relationship. Additionally, victims of trauma bonding often suffer from low self-esteem, attachment issues, and a lack of social support, which makes them more vulnerable to manipulation. The brain's survival instincts also play a role. In abusive relationships, the brain starts associating the abuser with emotional survival. especially when they switch between cruelty and kindness. As a result, leaving the relationship feels like a threat to emotional stability. Have you been there? I certainly have. 4. The impact of trauma bonding. Trauma bonding has profound emotional and psychological effects. Victims often experience anxiety and depression and a loss of identity. Their self-esteem becomes tied to the narcissist's approval, making it harder to set boundaries or recognise their worth outside the relationship. Furthermore, trauma bonding can lead to physical symptoms like insomnia, headaches, and even chronic stress-related illnesses. The longer a person stays in the cycle, the more damaging the impact on their mental health and their sanity. The mental deterioration then affects the physical health, and the cycle can go on and on and on. It's excruciating to be in and to watch others go through, from my personal experience. 5. Steps to help you become free from a trauma bond. Number 1, acknowledge the bond. Acknowledge the bond. Recognizing that you are in a trauma bond is the first step. This requires understanding that the relationship is abusive and that you are trapped in a cycle. Yes, going round and round and round and round again. 2, seek professional help. Therapy is essential for breaking trauma bonds. A relationship therapist like me can help you navigate the complex emotions involved and create strategies for leaving the relationship. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, which I am qualified as a master of, is often effective in rebuilding self-esteem and breaking negative thought patterns. No contact rule. Minimizing or cutting off contact with a narcissist is critical for healing. This can prevent them from using manipulation tactics to pull you back into the cycle. Build a support network. Seems self-explanatory, right? But you surround yourself with friends, family, or support groups who understand your situation and can provide emotional encouragement. Isolation, it can intensify feelings of dependency on the narcissist. Groups really helped me when I started the healing process and showed me I was not on my own. Focus on self-care. Rebuilding your sense of self outside the relationship is essential. It's really positive to take part in activities and hobbies that bring you happiness and joy, as well as help you reconnect with who you are, apart from the abuse. Yes, joining the walking group or that yoga class, it really is a great idea. 6, long-term recovery from trauma bonding. Recovering from what is trauma bonding in a narcissistic relationship does not go in a straight line. It's more like a roller coaster ride, and it requires ongoing effort and support. Trauma bonds are deeply rooted in emotional manipulation, which makes the healing journey particularly challenging. However, with time and the right approach for you, you can reclaim your sense of self and learn to form healthier relationships in the future. Fact, if only a live one. Therapeutic support. One of the most effective and efficient methods for breaking a trauma bond is engaging in therapy. Working with a trauma-informed coach or therapist, particularly one who specialises in narcissistic abuse, like I do, can help you understand the dynamics of the trauma bond and give you tools to rebuild your self-esteem and set firm boundaries. Cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, as well as neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, are popular approaches that can assist in managing distorted thinking patterns and emotional regulation, which are often disrupted by long-term abuse. In addition to traditional talk therapy, NLP, and EDMR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, has also shown success in helping victims of trauma process and reduce the emotional impact of abusive memories. Studies indicate that therapy can significantly improve emotional regulation and reduce PTSD symptoms in survivors of abusive relationships. These have both really helped me and my clients, so I can personally vouch for them. Establishing healthy boundaries. My favourite topic. In a narcissistic relationship, boundaries are often disregarded or broken by the abuser. To regain control over your life, it's essential to re-establish personal boundaries. This involves identifying what behaviours you will no longer tolerate and clearly communicating these limits in your relationships moving forward. For many, this may mean cutting off contact entirely through a no contact rule. This approach is vital because it prevents the narcissist from continuing their emotional manipulation tactics, such as love bombing, guilt tripping, or hoovering, pulling the victim back into the relationship. If complete separation is not possible, such as co-parenting situations, then grey rock techniques where you remain emotionally neutral and unresponsive to their attempts to manipulate you can be really helpful. Rebuilding self-esteem. One of the lasting impacts of trauma bonding is the erosion of self-worth. Victims often feel that they are not deserving of love or care, and this belief must be addressed during recovery. Taking small steps towards rebuilding your self-esteem is crucial, and this can be done through activities that reconnect you with your passions and help you rediscover who you are outside the toxic relationship. Engaging in self-care routines, whether that's journaling, exercise, creative hobbies, or learning new skills, can help create a sense of achievement and independence. Over time, these practices help strengthen your sense of identity, which may have been overshadowed during your relationship. Understanding red flags for the future. As part of the healing process, it's essential to reflect on the relationship and recognise the early signs of narcissistic abuse. When you do this, you empower yourself to avoid similar dynamics in future relationships. Narcissists often display red flags such as grandiosity, lack of empathy, manipulation, and an excessive need for control. In future relationships, look out for patterns of love bombing, over-the-top gestures of affection early on in the relationship, and gaslighting, manipulating someone into questioning their own reality. Building self-awareness about these tactics helps prevent falling into another trauma bond. My final thoughts. Hope beyond trauma bonding. Escaping from a trauma bond in a narcissistic relationship can be emotionally exhausting and a very painful process. Yes, I've been there. However, it is not only possible but also empowering, I promise. Recognizing the cycle of abuse and seeking help is the first step towards recovery. As you work through the therapy you choose, establish boundaries and rebuild your self-worth, the grip of the trauma bond will weaken. Eventually, you can form healthy relationships where love and respect replace manipulation and control. The process of healing takes time, patience and support, but with the right resources, survivors can move forward and reclaim their lives. Amen to that. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content on building healthier relationships and healing from toxic cycles. If you've experienced a narcissist in your life, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share your story or let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. If you would rather speak to me personally, you can reach me at the link below. Take care of yourself and stay true to yourself. I hope you feel a little more empowered. Until next time.